Folks, we have our last talk by Alexey. Alexey from DataArt.
Guys, last 20 minutes and you will be ready to start your new life with this bunch of knowledge that you received today. Sorry for these technical issues. And sorry for this nice icon. It will join us for a bit. This presentation is about requirements, specification, different formats. There are lots of, on today's market, user stories, use cases, job stories, SRS, which stands for Software Requirement Specification, BRD, which stands for, anyone knows? BRD. Well done. It's for you. Yep. And I believe many of you have already faced and encountered those formats of how we can document the requirements. Some of you might be struggling nowadays, maybe if they don't even have documentation on their project, or maybe they have awful documentation on their project. And maybe those product owners or business analysts, whoever communicate those requirements to you, yeah, they don't know those formats, maybe. So in this case, you can ask these people to help you, yeah, and not to waste time identifying what in the hell should be done, yeah, in the scope of the task. So, yeah, documenting requirements to please Qase. That's the title of the presentation. And me, by the way, I'm that product owner, business analyst who writes awful documentation. And yeah, I have experience of working in multiple projects at DataArt. We don't have our product, we have a lot of clients, yeah? And those clients, they have products, yeah? So I've participated in multiple products of my clients, yeah? Let me put it like this. And I work with multiple teams, senior level, junior level, QAs, developers. And this presentation is like a result of communication and discussion of different formats with these people. But before we start, I've introduced myself. I want you to introduce yourself. Who of you are developers? Would you please raise a hand? That's great actually. So, yeah, okay, developers. Who of you are, I don't know, BAs or product owners? Great, great. And who of you are QAs? I'm afraid to ask. Marvelous, marvelous. Okay. So I hope it will be useful. Okay, let's move on. And first of all, I want to talk about the purpose of documentation itself. Yep. So here is a screenshot of Agile Manifesto. Some of you, I believe, have visited this website. And it tells us that we value working software final product more than requirements, than documented requirements. So Agile implies that we don't have a specific format. Yeah, we should be aligned to how we should document the requirements, document, user story, whatever. It even says we don't need the documentation. Yeah, but I strongly believe that we need any project, any product needs a documentation, and here is why. So in Agile world nowadays, let's forget about waterfall. I don't know, during past 10 years, I can't remember even a waterfall project, but it's my experience. Maybe you have such experience during past 10 years. So in our modern Agile and Scrum world, product owner comes up with an idea. Let's create some feature. Yeah, let's throw a ticket with user story. As a user, I want to be happy. Throw it to the board. And later on, according to Agile and Scrum team will communicate with each other and they will negotiate what should be done in this story. So these are those guys, yeah? Okay. Maybe if we have a garage type of startup, yeah, when all of our two developers, product owner, and a lot of QA sitting together in this room, yeah, we can easily communicate to each other, yeah, we can easily talk to each other and ask, okay, what did you mean by this, yeah, what should I write here, what message should we send to the user, yeah, something like this. It will work, but as soon as you release your first version, MVP, yeah. Then QAs, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that QAs will have to do a regression to check that new features, yeah, haven't crashed anything that we built before. How to ensure that? Oh, I think we need to read something, yeah, a piece of documentation to see what should be done, what have we developed a week ago, a month ago. And that is only one of the reasons why we need documentation. We need a place, we need a document, we need, I don't know, a wiki space, something. We need a piece of paper. We need something to scratch down our requirements. And these are one of the few of possible cases when we need the documentation, even in agile world. Yeah, regression testing, distributed teams. As I've mentioned before, multiple developers might be from different countries, different offices. It is hard to communicate on daily basis with each other. In my cases, for example, my clients and my product managers and business owners, they are from different time zones. Yeah, they're from North America, for example. Yeah, I don't have ability to communicate to them like every hour. Yeah, QA automation. When it's time for QA automation engineer to join the team, he or she, they need some script, I don't know, some scenario, yeah? What should be scripted and automated. And the last one, well, sometimes we decide, not we, but product owners or business owners, they decide to sell the product. Okay, the buyer asks, okay, I will buy it. How should it work? Let's ask QAs, developers, product owners. Oh, we have fired them. Oh, okay, no, sorry, we don't have documentation. Oops. So these are not the only reasons why we need documentation, but I hope that I've pursued you. Okay, so let's take a look at our simple case. I will read this thing to you. So imagine that we have a feature request or something like this. We are asked to implement a reset password feature. Your user might forget their password. So on the login screen, we need a special link like, I forgot my password, that will lead us to another screen like, okay, give me your email, we will send you a magic link. We receive this link, we hit this magic button or link, then we are asked to provide a new password and confirm it. Easy, right? But there are some buttons, some colors, some screens, some notifications, some messages, some APIs, well, a lot of things, yeah? And what usually happens is that product owners or business analysts, they just throw simply this user story. As a user, I want something to happen, yeah? So that's I'm happy. And throw it to our board. And here comes the first problem I faced a lot of times with junior teams that, as you can see on this backlog board, yeah, in our sprint, we have all of those tasks or user stories, and they all are similar. As a customer, I want to. As a customer, I want to. Well, frankly speaking, by the end of the day, my eyes will be bleeding, I believe, if I work with this backlog, yeah? The better way to add or title or name those stories is like this. Use verb and object, yeah? Reset password via email link. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's it. It will be, so hint number one, use this concise and ask your product owners or whoever populates these backlogs with concise and brief descriptions like this. Not as a user, I want something, yeah? So we've created, not we, product owner, well, yeah, created such user story ticket, for example, in Jira. Here is a screenshot from Jira, which states, as a registered customer, I want to reset my password via email link. Okay, we got it. So that I can access the system with new credentials. Great. And below we have this acceptance criteria heading, yeah? So I expected to see the acceptance criteria. And by the way, this statement of the user story, this articulation of the user story, believe me or not, but product owners in their professional communities, they like debating all the time. They arguing all the time. Is it a proper user story statement? Is this user that specific that should be? Is this like benefit or value, yeah, that user received, is it articulated correctly? Should I introduce some technical limitations inside the story? Yes or no? But if I ask the same question, is this format, is this user story, is this text, line of text important? And if I ask this question, QAs and developers from my team, they tell me, we don't care. We don't read it. Give us this one. These what things that I need to implement, to code, to check, to test, to design, etc. And these acceptance criteria, they might be changing very frequently, and usually product owners or business analysts, they do not change the user story itself. But again, acceptance criteria might change. So here comes the first template or format of how we can document this acceptance criteria for our user story. I call it, or you can find it on the internet, it might be called a list of rules. It's simply like a checklist or to-do list. What should be done? I believe we will share the presentation here with the audience after the show. So simply saying, show this link on the login page. Okay. User must input valid email link, whatever it means. Okay. Send recovery link via email. Okay. And so on. And below we have these password requirements. Yeah. Like strength of the password. So what's bad with this? What's good with this? Let's start with like this. Pros, yeah? It's really fast. So I can document user stories with such acceptance criteria, like, I don't know, 100 a day. It's very quickly, yeah? Just throw, like, those look like actually like a meeting notes, yeah? So we were discussing some feature and we were discussing these items. Here they are. Throw a list and that's it. No details, no negative scenarios, etc. And of course, before starting a sprint, you can have a meeting where you can discuss with your team detailed requirements, yeah, clarify a bit. Any of you know how that session is called? Grooming? Well, before 2013, yes, grooming, but after this year, who was so loud? She, I believe so, yeah. Here you up. Whoop. Well done. Yeah, after 2013, in Scrum Guide, it was renamed from grooming to refinement session. I don't know, maybe they don't like dogs or something like this. I don't know. So it's fast. It lacks a lot of information, a lot of details. So we need to pay more attention and spend more time on our refinement session before we start development. But again, it's very fast. Another very, I don't know, it's popular, the most popular, yeah? Formats of given, when, then. Yep. So I don't think I should spend a lot of time describing this. So it's so-called scenario-based flow, where we have given as our set of our precondition, when is a trigger, and then is a set of post conditions, so what is the expected result. And here we specify the name of each step or each scenario. We can specify, it even gives us some ability here to specify some additional details. We can manipulate with this AND special word, so we can provide a set of steps or set of requirements. But this format is not the only one here we've given when then, like a plain text. We can also transform into a grid. It's a question of taste, of course, yeah. Who likes what, but me personally, I prefer this format, yeah, to discuss it with my customers and clients. So every row is our scenario from the previous slides, and we have given when then as columns. So the same information, but in another layout. Okay, so it's very good, it's great, it's time consuming, But QA automation testers, they told me that they adore such format because they can simply copy and paste those lines into their scripts. I don't know what they do with those, but I hope it helps. And that is why I spent more time documenting the requirements and user stories using, for example, given when then format. Another acceptance criteria format for today is interaction flows or interaction. So it's my beloved one, I think. So we have a main flow. It's like a scenario. It's like a table tennis game between user and the system, or maybe between system and another system. Yeah, you name it. It depends on your project. So what it says, user does something, system replies. User selects something, system reacts, system shows something, yeah? And we proceed with this main flow, like a happy flow or sunny day scenario till the end and receive our final positive result. We also might include alternative scenarios here and negative scenarios, or exception scenarios here, yeah? So this is like a heritage from, I believe, a use case format, well known for waterfall projects, yeah, when you have trigger, roles, precondition, postcondition, etc., etc., main flow, alternative flow, exceptional flow, etc. So it's like reworked use case, yeah. So we have a scenario like an interaction or dialogue between user and the system. Also, I add another section which states special requirements. These are those technical details. So this flow gives you an idea what should be done. It's clear picture, a helicopter view, you name it, yeah? What should be done? What should we receive, yeah? And all of those minor details, like what's the length of the password, what's the notification text message. Here it is, yeah? So why I use these special requirements separately from my scenarios and main flows and alternative flows is that because in this case, this one looks much cleaner. It's easy to read, yeah? Instead of having those intendants, yeah, sublists, etc. My teammates, they tell me that this format in 90% of cases is a must-have. In any case, technical task, please provide. User-facing task, please provide us with this interaction scenario. And again, those flows, they can be represented as or reused in QA automation scripts. And again, each of those steps or set of steps can be then decomposed to another user stories, yeah, if we believe that this flow is too huge for our sprint. Another case, we all deal with screens, I believe, yeah. So how to document requirements for screens and user interface. So here I have some form, product title, label, some images, some price, etc. So the fastest way to document or specify requirements for this screen is to throw some comments and notes above. It's very fast. It's useful. It's very useful. But if you this screen should represent some, I don't know, heavy logic, complicated calculations, etc., some algorithms, yeah? So there is no much place here, and it's hard to support. You need, if for example, you change that price should be, I don't know, here or there, then you need to retake the screenshot and apply those sticky notes again, yeah? So to avoid this, to more efficiently support and maintain the updated requirements, screen specification grid, voila. Control, what's the type of the control? Checkbox, I don't know, date picker, yeah, text input, the max length of this input, some data sources, for example, where to take data for this drop-down menu, for example, etc. So it's easy to maintain, but please, please pay attention that you should agree with your team what is the source of truth. You just tape in the change here. You don't need to redesign the whole UI form. Of course, it's like if it is like a drastic redesign, of course, yeah, you will need a new picture and a new grid. But again, this grid is not a replacement for an image. It extends and clarifies the image. You need to have both. But this one, yeah, is from my perspective and from feedback of my QAs from my team, sorry. They tell me, yeah, that this is useful because they can run their test and add another column, for example, like checked, not checked, tested, not tested, etc. Another aspect of modern software, statuses. Yeah, in this case, we have a diagram with statuses of a transaction in some financial system. So when we create it, it is open, then somebody reviews it, it becomes reviewed, etc., etc. Yep. Great view, easy to discuss with your client. That's great, that's fantastic. And it is must-have if you describe your statuses of any object. But my developers, again, developers and QAs from my teams, all of them, they tell me, the diagram is great, it's good. But anyways, we always transform it to this, to the matrix of statuses. So what we have here, the first column, it's our statuses. The first row, the same statuses. Intersection, how we can get from approved to open. Here it is, here is your trigger. How we can get from pending to rejected. Here it is. We need this trigger. And again, you can add some manipulations with data here, some formulas, etc. And this format is useful for developers. This format is useful for QAs. Yeah, and for me as a being a product owner, I can say that it's very useful because I can catch any detail inside those transitions between statuses. So I will not forget, okay, is it available to go from reviewed to pending? It's not available. Why it is? Because I spent just 1 second, yeah, to asking myself, is it possible? No, it's not possible. Yeah, we have this documented, and no questions, additional questions from anyone, yeah, from the team. A little bit blurry, but I'll explain. So there are lots of cases in healthcare, everywhere, I believe, in financials, when we have some complex logic, when we have some complicated algorithms or formulas, yeah. So it's a formula here, and below it, this formula is described, is clarified with even with some examples. So it's okay, that's great, yeah. Like you must ask your product owners to give you these formulas, yeah. If they give you a ticket in Jira like calculate IRR for my project, for my investment, you shouldn't be Googling like in Investopedia. So what's the formula? It should be here because there are 2 formulas for calculating IRR. Which one? Yeah. And besides this, I insist, it's like the top hint for today, like add another spreadsheet. This should be added. A spreadsheet, Excel, not Google Sheets, not Google Sheets, Excel spreadsheet with real data set, with some comments, how this cell is calculated, which formula. And this one is used by, first of all, developers for unit tests. They easily can convert this grid to their unit test. I go through, I receive this number, yes or no, easy. Second, QAs cover these data sets inside their test coverage, yeah, inside their test cases, real data. What could be better? And the most interesting thing from my experience, when you have end users who are involved in user acceptance testing, so these first guys who will interact with your product, with your screen, okay, they receive some results in their screen. So we've calculated this formula. It is 1.123. What they do, they need to, well, verify if this value is correct. What they do, they open Excel and they calculate it there. In most of the cases, Excel is the most popular tool for this. Again, Excel has some precision, some rounding logic. they will compare your results with Excel, unfortunately. Because most of the projects nowadays, I believe, their goal is to replace Excel, but I don't believe. It's like artificial intelligence. We will not beat it in decades, I believe. Okay, so key takeaways from today. There are a lot of formats nowadays in Agile, in Waterfall. Take the best of those and combine them. Like it's not set in stone, yeah? You can take the best, take scenario from here, some gherkin from here, and combine it into a single story. Why not, yeah? Just discuss it with your product owner, with your team, etc. Yeah, that is why we're agile. Yeah, because we can communicate, and we are agile because we can shift, we can pivot, etc. So agile is for changes, and the same for requirements. The format can be changed at any time. I believe so. I think that's it. I can answer your questions now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, please.
What about drift between requirements and real code base? In my practice, requirements, if it's not synced in automatic mode with real code base, it's outdated exactly after when it write once.
Yeah, actually, in most cases, it is. But again, these requirements, when we're creating something from scratch, from the very beginning, yeah, this is like the source of truth, which can be used for automation testing. Once it is automated, again, every automation test can be adjusted with time, yeah? New logic, new legal act, new compliance terminology, anything can happen, yeah, and we need to update our logic, we need to update our QA automation tests, and we need to update the requirements. So everything should be updated. There are two concepts of how to handle requirements nowadays. I see them on the internet and communicating with my colleagues. You can store all the documentation, all of those algorithms and descriptions somewhere in Confluence. Yeah, so Confluence in this case replaces our huge Word document, yeah? And the tasks and bugs are created in Jira. And in Jira you have a link. Go there, find requirements there. Well, it happens. So if you receive a change request, some changes, then you create a new ticket in Jira and link it to the same updated page. So you need to create a Jira ticket and you need to update the Confluence page. You need, not you, but maybe you are responsible for requirements, and the product owner or who is responsible for requirements, they need to make two actions. Create a ticket and update the requirements. No, the wrong direction. Update requirements, create ticket. Yeah. Another approach is to store everything in Jira. We have epics, we have stories under them. You can, in the epic, it's like a huge feature. Like, yeah, you can have some basic description with some flows, which represents like real prod case scenarios. Yeah, and then you can have those links for crucial features. So it's a part of a daily job of business analyst or product owner, not only to elicitate, not only to collect or generate requirements, but to maintain them and support them. Someone has to do this.
Okay, we have one picture inside Jira and a real picture inside the code. And this is completely different picture.
But this is different only when the process is broken. If the process is all right, you synchronize everything.
If you after the first test cases pass, you can see that okay, we are not synced. So what we should do? Either we want to update the requirements, or we want to like do a regression, do the code update.
It's like if you see the value in having this documentation, then it's your responsibility to keep it updated. Have a trigger, have triggers. If something happens in Jira or something happens on prod, you update it.
Write your last line of code.
Sorry, what?
When you write the last line of code.
There is no time when it's last line of code. A product is always evolving.
You look to the process from the people which not write the code. I look to the process in the both side.
No, I look at the process from people who manage and write and test, from all the people inside the team. It's team responsibility to deliver a product of a certain quality. And if quality means that we need to provide documentation to our clients or to someone else, it's the team's responsibility to have it in their process that the code and the content is updated when needed. It's not a rocket science at all. You just need to have time for that. And to have time for that, you need to have normal managers, not stupid managers who push you for and press you for time.
I also add that there is a rule among BAs and product owners. If you decide to create a document, think twice. Who will be supported?
Yeah.
Who will be supporting this? Who will be updating it? If there isn't any person who will be responsible for updating of this document, do not create it. But if there will be, and in your case, maybe, yeah. Or maybe you should hire a product owner. I don't know. Any questions, guys?
Yes,
Yep.
Thank you so much. So I have actually two questions, but they are somehow related. The idea behind the living documentation, do you agree with that? Or because I didn't see in the presentation about living documentation. And actually the second question is that okay, we all of them face the situation that some of the requirements that you already mentioned, some of the requirements are in the Jira and the other ones are in the Confluence, and always there are conflicts between them. And actually QA guys or automations like me so prefer to have some kind of living documentation, some scenarios that we can update each time, but it is very hard to find the requirements inside the tickets. But developers prefer to have the requirements inside the tickets because they can easily understand, okay, what should be done, and okay, close the ticket. And
that's the trap. How you can easily understand what should be done?
Yeah, actually,
are you sure?
how you are? What is your what is your suggestions to?
Yeah, my suggestion is to use first of all the second question. First of all, use your requirements creators. Let's put it like this. They should use definition of ready. You know that, yeah, approach. So a checklist. Go through this checklist and let's check. Have I discussed notifications? Yes. Have I discussed security? Have I discussed, for example, some impact issues? Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. If no, then your ticket is not ready for development. It's not ready for sprint backlog. Yep.
Or you can have all those non-functional requirements discussed with the team. They can remind you that you haven't submitted enough information.
Like Free Amigos, yeah. Well, again, it's the question of communication in a proper managed team. Yeah. So everything should be discussed. At my current project, I create a concept of some feature with UI, backends, and database updates, some fields, new tables, etc. Then I go to developers and QAs and ask them, guys, break it, like literally break it. What is wrong with this? How can it be rethought, yeah, to be more efficient, yeah? So that's how we create these cool requirements, yeah. Cool for that moment, yeah, and we place them somewhere. Again, you in your team should agree where to put those requirements.
What I see, you're talking about miscommunication issues generally. Some people want to do one thing, some people want to do another thing. Figure out the rationality. Figure out what is more rational and more optimal to do for everyone. It's not that every single person will agree with what you as a team agree, but it's never like that. You have to achieve something.
Yeah. That is why, how many, 20 or 30 years ago, we had one person, like an orchestra. Yeah. He was doing everything. Yeah. Design, back-end, front-end, testing, everything.
Proper
like
engineers.
My father, for example. Yeah.
Proper engineers.
Yeah. Nowadays, too pricey, guys. Yeah. It's just mind-blowing. That is why we have a lot of team members. Yeah. That is why we.
And yes, with us having more specialization, we have coordination and communication issues, of course,
yeah,
and that's why we have this documentation. That's why we have to invest in it.
And answering about automation, yeah, QA automation, automating tests.
Living documents.
Living documentation. Yeah.
But I think you were describing quite a living one, because he was saying that whenever requirements change, they update the documentation. So it's up to you to decide where to store it, but then you have to update it every time something changes.
It shouldn't be, for example, updated like at this specific moment, and can be updated after release. Everything is passed the test. We applied some tweaks. We applied some changes. We realized, okay, we didn't like foresee this edge case. We added this to our test coverage and we released it. After the release, go and document, update the documentation.
There is a possible trap there. I mentioned that if managers push for time, press for time, people will tend to forget. Yeah, but what I'm saying that sometimes it's easier to do one thing at the time you're doing it. So if you change something, just put it in the docs. And what I've seen documents in Markdown, in Sphinx, in Jira, in Confluence. It's just a matter of what you choose. Just choose one thing. That's it. If you have two, you're absolutely right. Things will go south. You will forget everything.
Any questions?
Woo!
Thank you.